Empire Tales. Napoleon Bonaparte, the rise of the emperor. In the late 18th century, amidst the ashes of a fallen monarchy, a brilliant military strategist and a ruthless conqueror would rise from obscurity to become one of the most iconic figures in world history. This man was Napoleon Bonaparte, a leader whose ambition, genius, and legacy would forever change the course of Europe and the world. Born on the island of Corsica in 1769, Napoleon was the son of minor nobility, far from the palaces of Paris and the grandeur of France's monarchy. Yet, from a young age, he possessed an insatiable drive to rise above his station. Little did the world know that this young Corsican would reshape Europe, set the stage for the rise of modern states, and challenge the very notion of monarchy and empire itself. The early years, a young soldier's path. Napoleon's early life was one of hardship and ambition. At just 9 years old, he was sent to France to attend military school, far from his homeland. A foreigner in a strange land, he faced early difficulties, but he quickly showed exceptional skills in mathematics and strategy. It was here that he first developed the keen mind that would serve him so well in later years. Napoleon's rise in the military ranks came during the French Revolution, a time when France was in turmoil. The French Revolution, which began in 1789, saw the overthrow of the monarchy, the execution of Louis XVI, and the rise of a new republic. Amidst the chaos of war, revolution, and political upheaval, Napoleon's military career flourished. He began to make a name for himself with his brilliant tactics, decisive victories, and boldness on the battlefield. By his mid-20s, Napoleon had risen to the rank of general. The Italian campaign, the rise of a military genius. In 1796, Napoleon was given command of the French army in Italy, an army that was demoralized and badly defeated by the Austrian Empire. What happened next would cement his reputation as one of the greatest military minds in history. In a series of brilliantly executed campaigns, Napoleon outmaneuvered and outthought the Austrian forces, defeating them decisively and capturing key territories. His victory in Italy was nothing short of stunning, and it marked the beginning of his rise to power. But it wasn't just Napoleon's tactics that made him legendary. He understood the psychology of warfare. He knew how to inspire his soldiers, how to boost morale, and how to turn the tide of war with swift, decisive action. His military genius was combined with a personal charisma and a knack for propaganda. Napoleon became a symbol of French strength and glory, and his name spread across Europe like wildfire. The Egyptian campaign, a vision of empire. By 1798, Napoleon's ambitions had grown beyond Europe. With the goal of undermining British power in the region, he led an expedition to Egypt, hoping to cut off Britain's vital trade routes to India. Though the Egyptian campaign was far from a complete success, it marked another key turning point in Napoleon's career. While his forces were defeated at the Battle of the Nile by the British Navy, Napoleon's brilliance as a strategist and his fascination with ancient history left a lasting impact. He brought scholars and scientists along with him, leading to the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, a pivotal moment in the deciphering of ancient Egyptian writing. His time in Egypt may not have achieved its primary military goal, but it only added to his growing mythos and deepened his influence. The coup of 1799, Napoleon becomes first consul. By 1799, the French Revolution had left the country in political chaos. France was surrounded by enemies, and its leaders were struggling to maintain power. The Directory, the governing body of France, was in disarray, and the nation was ripe for change. In 1799, Napoleon staged a coup d'état, a bloodless takeover of the French government. With his popularity at its peak and the French army firmly behind him, Napoleon effectively became the leader of France. Initially, he took the title of First Consul, ruling alongside two others, but he held most of the power. In a matter of months, Napoleon had transformed himself from a general to the most powerful man in France. His rise to power was swift, and the people of France, weary of instability, welcomed him as their leader. The emperor, building the French Empire. In 1804, Napoleon crowned himself Emperor of the French, solidifying his power and declaring the French Empire a new chapter in European history. He did not simply inherit power, he built it. He organized a new legal code, the Napoleonic Code, which would become the foundation for modern civil law in many countries around the world. Napoleon's empire expanded rapidly. His military campaigns in Europe were unmatched, as he conquered much of Europe and created a vast empire stretching from Spain to Russia. His forces crushed the Austrian Empire, defeated Prussia, and outmaneuvered the Russian army on several occasions. Napoleon's vision was of a united Europe under French influence, but he faced constant resistance from other European powers, particularly Britain, which sought to maintain its dominance on the seas. The fall, Waterloo, and the end of an era. Napoleon's downfall began in 1812 when he invaded Russia. The Russian winter, along with the scorched earth tactics employed by the Russians, devastated his army. The Russian campaign marked the beginning of Napoleon's slow decline. In 1814, after a series of defeats and the loss of key territories, Napoleon was forced to abdicate the throne. He was exiled to the island of Elba, but his story was not over. In 1815, Napoleon escaped from Elba and returned to France, where he quickly regained control. His return, known as the 100 Days, was short-lived. He met his final defeat at the Battle of Waterloo in June 1815, where a coalition of European powers, Britain, Prussia, Austria, and others, defeated him decisively. Napoleon was exiled to the remote island of St. Helena, where he would spend the last years of his life, far from the empire he had built and lost. The legacy of Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon died in 1821, but his legacy lives on. His military tactics, his vision for a unified Europe, and his Napoleonic Code continue to influence modern societies. Though he was seen as a tyrant by some and a hero by others, there is no doubt that Napoleon Bonaparte was one of the most influential figures in history. He reshaped Europe, created a new order, and left a mark on the world that has not faded in the centuries since his death. Headphone listen now to discover the life of Napoleon Bonaparte, the conqueror who rose from humble beginnings to become the Emperor of Europe, only to be defeated by fate and his own ambition. If you enjoy cinematic history storytelling and immersive podcast experiences, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join Empire Tales for more legendary stories from history.